Hey, what's going on, roleplayers? It's the Bard here, and welcome back to the corner. It's taken me absolutely ages to do the last 3 analysis videos. We've covered the class, we've covered the abilities, we've covered the domain spells. Now it's time to wrap it all up with some brand new ideas for your unconventional clerics. In all my years of role-playing, I've noticed that cleric players dedicate themselves almost exclusively to the worship of a deity, and it doesn't have to be that way. It's so rare for me to see a cleric actually devote themselves to another entity, or to an ideal, or even to a pattern of behaviour. Whilst dedicating your character to a deity might not necessarily be a bad thing, you may find that a character's beliefs don't necessarily line up with the deity's ideals. Your character might believe that might makes right, so if we use the war domain to embody that philosophy, your character may want to uphold that ideal, but you don't want to follow someone like Torm because they're too self-sacrificing. Likewise, you may think that someone who is strong isn't necessarily tyrannical, so perhaps Bane is out of the question. Have faith in your convictions, devote yourself to a particular ideal, and the deities will come to you. Various different deities will grant you different powers, not because you worship them, but because you embody their ideals. Your cleric can pray every day for the spells that they need in order to make them the perfect embodiment of might makes right, as our example. Through deeds and adventure and worship, the right deity will appear. This is amazing for the unconventional cleric because it allows you to put your character on a path of self-discovery. As long as you just hold on to one particular ideal, it really doesn't matter how you play your character. When you find the character you want to be, then you can finally dedicate yourself in the way that you see fit. All you need to do is concentrate on that one thing that sets you apart from the other clerics. Nothing excites me the way chaos does. It's the ebb and flow of life. It's the call of secrets in the dark. It's the mind of the cosmic horror beyond our reality. Chaos is change and impulse and instinct. The entire Unconventional series is there to defy convention, to defy rules, to defy logic, and that's what the Disciple of Chaos should do as well. The first step on the road to mastering chaos might be a couple of levels in Wild Magic Sorcerer. Your sorcerer spells will have the chance to create a wild surge, and anything could happen when one of those goes off. Probably the even more important ability is the Tides of Chaos, giving you advantages on those things like attack rolls, ability checks, saving throws, and really starting to get the chaos flowing. Then of course you have to roll on the Wild Surge table when you do cast another one of your sorcerer spells, so you get plenty of opportunities to get a Wild Surge. You don't have to overdo your sorcerer levels, just pick up as many as you see fit. Just make sure you've got just enough to give you a variety of spells that you are likely to use again and again, which are going to trigger off your Wild Surge table. So mostly some attacking spells are very good choices. In a way, you could use this with practically any domain that you wanted. Trickery might seem like the obvious choice, but I think Knowledge has certain abilities and spells that fit the theme a lot better. Knowledge of the Ages can give you proficiency in skills that you don't have. You'll have proficiency one moment and then it's gone the next. One day you're a master of stealth, the next day you're a master of history, the next day after that you're a master of smithing tools. Your character might not know the difference between a lockpick and a tension wrench, but a quick spin of chaos and suddenly you're an expert safecracker. If success and failure is tied to the whims of fate, then you really can't pick up a better feat than lucky. The lucky feat takes the plan that fate has made for you and gives you another shot to shape your own reality. Chaos Bolt is a really nice damaging spell. Not only does it have a variety of different damage types, but if you get really lucky, it could actually bounce around and strike another target as well. It's all down to the whims of fate. Command and Suggestion are again good low-level spells for the cleric in order to get a little bit of disorder and disarray into the situation. Suggestion can be great for getting creatures to do things that they wouldn't normally do, to go against their will. However, they're going to want to interpret these things in the best possible way they can, in order to give them the most benefit. So it might be when you make a suggestion, something happens that you really didn't expect. It might seem that knowing the future is somewhat antithetical to the whole chaos concept, but consider the fact that just because an outcome is favourable doesn't necessarily mean that the steps to get there will also be favourable. Also understand that if you cast this spell more than once before you make a long rest, there's the chance that the entire reading could go completely wrong and you could get false information. So do you really trust in the spell to work all the time? When this starts becoming a factor, can you actually believe what the augury is telling you? Confusion is probably your ultimate chaos spell when it comes to the knowledge domain. Maybe they run, maybe they fight, maybe they stand, maybe they act normally, who knows? Whatever it is that happens, every creature in that 10-foot radius is going to have to deal with the havoc and turmoil that comes from casting this spell. When you're playing Chaos, you don't just want to go against the party's wishes. If you continually do that, then it's not really something that's very chaotic, it's just something that becomes predictable, and the more predictable you are, the less devoted you are to your Chaos. So essentially what you want to do is just defy convention. Anything that can possibly go wrong is always a worthy consideration. It's a really strong role-playing experience. If a role could make or break a scenario, that's the true devotion to chaos that you're looking for. Oftentimes people say everything happens for a reason, but no one ever said those reasons have to make sense. While a Vengeance Paladin might be a great example of Wrath, some people just find the Paladin's code far too restrictive. A couple levels of Paladin can get you access to useful abilities like Divine Smite, but by capping it there, it's not forcing you to take your Sacred Oath. By following on with Cleric levels, you prove your dedication to that which is wrathful, rather than continuing down a path that forces you into an oath of service. The few levels of Paladin that you do take have access to some really good low-level Smite spells. Searing Smite could be Holy Fire, Thunderous Smite could be the Wrath of the Storm, or Wrathful Smite can even just be the personification of your own anger. Any one of these spells combined with your Divine Smite ability, and the target of your ire will understand the meaning of the word Fury. As odd as it may seem, Calm Emotions is a really important spell for you to have. Charmed and Frightened are conditions that can stop your party from delivering attacks. If you can counteract those abilities, then the rest of your party can continue to bring that glorious wrath down upon their enemies. Spirit Guardians is ideal for the Disciple of Wrath. Not only does it deal damage to those who deserve it, but it also slows movement, allowing you to keep the creatures within striking distance. Shatter not only deals good damage to creatures, but it also deals excellent damage to objects that aren't being worn or carried. So things like carts, barrels, doors, any barricade that a creature puts in your way, you can blast it apart with Shatter as you make a beeline straight for your next target. When all else fails, Destructive Wave radiates out a whole load of damage, which includes thunder and then your choice of either radiant or necrotic damage on top of that as well. If you'd like to be more of a melee based character, then it's definitely worth considering Great Weapon Master. Not only can it really improve your melee damage, but it can also allow you to start targeting other creatures if you successfully defeat an enemy or get a lucky critical hit. Destructive Wrath allows you to bring the ultimate fury of the storm. Combine this with your Thunderous Smite spell and your Divine Strike ability from level 8 and you have an immense amount of damage in a single swing. And finally, Stormborn allows you to fly whenever you're not indoors or underground. The Disciple of Wrath flies above the battlefield, then rains down his anger upon his enemies like the vengeance of the heavens. I've chosen to go with Tempest for this particular variant, but you can go with absolutely any kind of Disciple of Wrath you like. If you want the Fury of Nature, then go with the Nature domain. If you want the Fury of Death, then go with the Death domain. If you want to bring the Fury of Fire, then go with the Forge domain. Whatever path you ultimately decide on, channel your anger and let the enemy feel your righteous indignation. A Disciple of Passion could be anything from the back alley harlot to the iconic succubus. However, you don't have to take that literal interpretation. A Disciple of Passion could be someone who is dedicated solely to a single belief or act. But whatever form your Disciple of Passion may take, there is one immutable truth, and that is what is happening to your disciple in the moment. 2 levels of Enchanter can get you a very useful Hypnotic Gaze ability, as well as having some very useful low-level enchantment spells. Hypnotic Gaze only gives your target one chance to save against it. Now, even though you have to use your action repeatedly in order to continue the effect, they can't move, they're completely charmed by you, they have 0 speed, and it essentially takes a creature completely out of the equation. This ability is great for non-combat situations, and it makes you the focus of their attention. With the creature's focus entirely on you, your party may be able to slip by undetected. Likewise, the advantage on social checks is great for gaining information or making convincing arguments. Actor is really an amazing feat if you're going for a Disciple of Passion. Considering the fact you get a bonus to your charisma, it's a great pick automatically. However, the advantage you get on deception and performance checks when acting in character is a great representation of one of your passions, the fact that you are solely in the moment when you are taking on a different persona. Disciples of Passion who aren't going down the knowledge domain route might want to consider picking up the skilled feat in order to get those proficiencies that they don't already have. If you have a passion for the arcane, history, religion, nature, then a great way to represent that can be the double proficiency you get when it comes to those skills. Your enchanter levels get you access to Charm Person, which is perfect if you're a disciple whose passion is people. Additionally, more self-serving disciples might consider people to be the gateway to their own pleasure and their own passion. Therefore, command and suggestion could be the ideal spells for you. If your passions revolve around knowledge, crafting, learning, then things like Identify and Legend Lore are also really good options to have. They give you plenty of information, and the more you learn about things, the more you can put it towards your own crafts and skills in order to make better things in the future. As you progress in levels, it's likely that your character will become more and more invested in the thing that they've chosen to dedicate themselves to. As you focus more and more on the things that you want, this moves out of casual interest and it starts moving into the realm of desire and almost creepy obsession. With that obsession comes a desire to be involved completely in every aspect of the thing that you're passionate about. Therefore, Arcane Eye and Scrying offers up a level of voyeurism that you otherwise wouldn't see in many other people. But they just don't understand your dedication. As a dark little twist to this archetype, understand that many clerics are devoted and passionate about the thing that they have chosen to embody. However, when the thing you're passionate about is passion and devotion, imagine how that feeds back into itself and keeps building and building and building. It probably doesn't sound like much, but it's really something that you only want to undertake if you're an experienced and very stable role player, because the more you put into it, the more and more frightening it can become. While it might seem somewhat tame, the coveting of desire and the desire to covet feeds into itself so much that it leads to dark and dangerous places. What's this? A fourth archetype? But I usually do these things in threes. But like everything that happens out of character, there's usually a good story to go with it that explains why it happened. So this story goes back to when I was playing 3rd edition, which was quite a while ago. I remember having this Venus flytrap on my windowsill, and it had this lustrous red inside, so it was always enticing and inviting. So I would see the plant there, all lying in wait. This reminded me of the assassin vine creature, where something would stroll into its lair and it would wrap itself around the creature, strangle it to death, and then deposit the remains at its roots and use it to feed itself. It also just got me thinking about things like the cycle of life. So creatures eat other creatures, those creatures die, they become grass, creatures eat grass, then get eaten by other creatures. But I just found it very interesting the sinister way in which the assassin vine works. Like its namesake, the assassin vine waits in camouflage for its victim to come, and then like a constricting snake wraps itself around the target. The assassin vine then chokes the life out of whatever it's captured and deposits the remains near its roots so that it can feed. It's indiscriminate about what it does or who it takes. I can remember spending ages looking at this plant and contemplating its process, so I would often wonder, what is the extreme of that? If someone were sufficiently unhinged, how far could they take that? Hence the assassin vine cultist. It's a concept I always wanted to put into action, but I never could find a convenient place to input such a cult. But I always felt it would be a very interesting set of adventures or circumstances that a party would have to overcome. Back in 3rd edition, clerics would have access to 2 domains. Since that's not the case anymore, we have to move things around a little bit. So the nature domain is giving you access to all the plant and animal abilities, whereas the necromancer is giving you the grim harvest, allowing you to regain double the spell's level in hit points, or triple the amount of spell's level in hit points if it's a necromancy spell. In this, your spells sap the life energy from the creatures and deliver it to you, just like that cycle of life we were talking about earlier. Spike Growth is going to be one of your main spells. It covers a wide area for a long duration, and it sprouts a number of thorns and spikes, which will then deal damage to a creature when it moves through the area. Combine this with Grim Harvest and you've got a really strong effect. While you can only get this effect once per round, the spell itself lasts for a duration of 10 minutes. As long as creatures continue to die within the area as a result of the spell, you continue to gain hit points each and every round. Grasping Vine is another spell that really fits the theme. It lashes out, it entangles a creature, and it gives you and your party free rein to do almost whatever you want to that creature whilst it's restrained. It might be you want to try to emulate in a more physical and tangible sense the actions of the Assassin Vine. So by using things like Skulker and Grappler, you can hold on to your target and dispatch it while it can't get away. You lie in the shadows and wait for the creature to come to you. When it gets within range, you pull it into the shadows with you, and the creature is never seen again. If you're truly dedicated to the Assassin Vine, you might want to consider getting some martial weapon proficiencies. This would allow you to use things like whips, flails, nets, lots of flexible weapons that wrap around a creature's body or limbs. The Assassin Vine ramps up its targets, so your weapon selection can help show that devotion by picking flexible weapons that act in very much the same way. So there is a little bit more to it than just wanting to put out an old idea that I never got to use. I do feel that you guys deserve a little extra because I haven't been as frequent in my uploads as I would like to be. At the same time, I received a very kind message on Twitter asking if I was alright, if I was still passionate about the subject matter, and just generally checking in with me. I'm very grateful for that level of consideration. Understand that I am never going anywhere. I will always be around to make videos. Unfortunately, as with everything in life, people just get busy. Some people have school, some have college, some have work, some have family. Whatever it is that you've got to do, you have to put it first. Regardless of how long it takes for me to do a video, I will still be producing them. Life is just a bit chaotic at the moment. I will always be throwing my ideas into the mix, and there will always be an open comment section where you guys can discuss with each other your own thoughts, your own builds, your own philosophies, the things that you find important when it comes to role-playing. Thanks for watching up to this point. Thanks for all your support during these turbulent times. It's difficult for everyone, as we all know, but it's just great to have so much interaction on the channel. Thank you very much to everyone who subscribes. If you're not subscribed yet, maybe you want to do so and join in the conversation. Hopefully you like and comment on this video, and I will see you guys next time at the gaming table.